Thank you. We're back with our next departmental budget discussion. Before we get started, I'm Mayor David Briley, and I'm joined by Talia Lomax O'Neill, the city's finance director, and Emily Pacini, the chief of staff here in the mayor's office. As you may recall, last year was an unusual budget cycle for a whole lot of reasons, but we made it through this year with I think, pretty good results. People tightened their belts, and we saved enough money in this last year, and revenues have increased enough this year where we're in a position to do a cost of living adjustment for our employees and give the step and open range increases that we had wanted to do last year but couldn't. And so I think our employees are going to get a well-deserved increase, a well-deserved raise this year. Our next budget discussion is with the property assessor, Vivian Wilhoit, and I just wanted to give her a chance to introduce herself and those people who are with her. And we may have some questions here at the end, so if you'll save a little bit of time for that, we're pretty flexible on time.
Awesome, and thank you. Thank you, and good afternoon, Mayor Riley, Finance Director O'Neill, and also to Chief of Staff Emily Pacini. Welcome aboard. And to the viewing audience, I am Vivian Wilhoit, Davidson County Property Assessor, or Assessor Property, but not the tax assessor. As I enter into my third year as the Davidson County Property Assessor, I remain excited about the future of my staff and about the future of Nashville and Davidson County. Today, I have with me my three chief deputies. I have Jimmy Clary of Operations, who's celebrating his 60th birthday, by the way. Yay. And so glad to still have him with us. He's been absolutely awesome. I have with me Christy Scott, who is Chief Deputy of Administration, who has been extremely awesome as well. I mean, just the whole staff is awesome. And then Brad Pigg, who is Chief Deputy of our Information and Technology Division. And we also have with us Mr. Michael Matlock, who is manager of our fleet management group. And we're glad to have Michael with us because he's been advising us about our management, about our fleet management, and we'll tell you more about that later. In the area of operations, we have two requests. One, two appraiser 2 positions are needed to prepare for the 2021 reappraisal. We highly anticipate an $8,300 increase of parcels from the 247,754 parcels of the 2017 reappraisal. We are, of course, on track for this increase in the parcel count. According to the law of Tennessee Code annotated 67-1506, and it states that in order to assure that each county assessor of property shall have a minimum staff to assist the county assessor in carrying out the duties and responsibilities required by law, the assessor is authorized to appoint at least one deputy assessor for each 4,500 parcels of property within the taxing jurisdiction. Presently, we have 54 deputy assessors, and we request 2 additional positions to meet the expected increase in parcel counts. With that said, and to reiterate, we request 2 appraiser 2 positions, which represent an amount of $78,724 to be in compliance with the state law. Our second operation requests relate to increase in our contractual obligations. That expected increase is $32,000. Now, focusing on our 4% request, as an update, our computer-assisted mass appraisal system, also called CAMA, the request for proposal was approved to go forward in replacing the close to 20 years old system, as you are aware. For the viewing audience, our more than 20-year-old CAMA system that assists us in property valuation and maintenance is in much need of replacement. This system is also used greatly by the local and national community in property identification. We were awarded $500,000 to move forward in replacing the close to 20-year-old system. Based on the proposal, an additional $2.1 million is needed to complete the funding of the project and will be requested via the 4% funding. We have completed the review of the proposals, as an update to you, from the bidders that we received, and now we're looking to receive their presentations from the identified bidders before we make a decision. We are excited by the suggestions that have been given to the Blue Ribbon Committee. Now, if you like these suggestions, you can give credit to our Chief Deputy, Christy Scott. And if you don't like these suggestions, you can give me the credit because I'm here to protect my staff. 1, cost savings by potentially negotiating a price decrease for annual subscription of services. So what we mean is that if you have annual subscriptions, you want to maybe proceed to negotiate a decrease in those annual subscriptions, because the cost of doing business with Davidson County is definitely a blessing to any vendor that is doing business with us and want to continue. 2, a revenue increase can be recognized by collecting $1 for entry at the New Year's celebration. When you think about the fact that the cost that Metro possibly had to pay to the state, or whatever the amount in order to clean up the park in using it for the New Year's celebration, a $1 entry fee is minimum to the enjoyment that Davidson Countyans and people coming into Davidson County come to celebrate with us on that time of the year. So we think the $1 entry at the New Year's celebration would be an awesome thing to do if implemented. And then 3, cost avoidance can be recognized through decreased overtime for non-essential employees. Now, I know those are some great ideas. Don't get too excited, okay? As an FYI, in regard to fleet, which is why we have Michael here to answer any questions you may have, Mr. Matlock, excuse me. Fleet Manager Michael Matlock advises us of the need for additional vehicles due to both age and increase in the number of staff. This request has been made through General Services. In closing, one other thing that we think of critical information that we definitely you may want to know. The total assessed value increase for 1/1/2018 is now was 3.2%. As of today, the assessed value percentage increase for 1/19 is 2.8%, and that is progressing. It's ongoing. But right now it's 2.8%. 2.8%. That is information we know that is critical in reference to looking at the budget and knowing what is coming in reference to what we've picked up on new and existing properties. In closing, we are pleased that we're on task and meeting our saving target of $203,000. As a note of information to the viewing audience, annually you may file an appeal on your property value through the informal review with our office or the independent formal appeal at the Independent Boards of Metropolitan Equalization or the State Board of Equalization. If you, the date to file your informal review is April the 17th by 4 p.m. Again, the date to file your informal review is by April the 17th by 4 p.m. If you miss that date, you may want to file your formal appeal with either the Metro Board of Equalization or State Board of Equalization. You can call our office at 615-862-6080 or check our website at www.padctn.org for deadline dates. Last and definitely not least, I cannot say and I cannot thank my incredible staff enough for an awesome past 3 years. I hit the jackpot when I received the winnings of this great staff. And I hope to do it again in 2020. Wink, wink. They are deserving of the proposed increase that has been provided. Thank you so much. And any question you may have, my staff and I are ready to answer them.
Could you just talk a little bit about, with the CAMA upgrade, what impact you think that'll have on just your daily operations?
Well, it's definitely going to make our daily operations even more efficient and effective. And to give details regarding that, my Deputy Chief Brad Pigg can answer additional specific questions.
We'll also be looking at long-term cost savings because it will make us more efficient, and we'll integrate more of our products. Right now, we have built ourselves products that surrounds our CAMA system, and what we're trying to do is get everything in to one CAMA system. So we'll be more efficient, and we will be counting on a vendor to keep us upgraded instead of us upgrading our own home-built systems.
Talia.
Okay. You want to talk about outreach?
Outreach is one of my favorite topics.
I know.
I think informing the citizens of Davidson County about how things work and how we arrive at values is so very important. When I came on board in September 1, at that time, the office had done an average of about 15 to 16 outreach presentations in a reappraisal year. Before the reappraisal was completed by May, going into September, we had done well over 100 outreach presentations, going around the counties explaining to citizens about the proposed medium increase at that time, which was 37% countywide on medium average. And we think that the number of outreach that was provided actually helped decrease the number of formal appeals that we receive, formal reviews that we receive in that time. We have continued to provide outreach throughout Davidson County. We feel like citizens need to be aware as they move forward how the reappraisal process works and how appraising their property works, and it's a revolving door. One day you're not a property owner, and by the blessings of God, you become a property owner. One day you're not a property owner and moving to another level, or either a business owner, and by the grace of God, you are aware of what your rights are under the process of reappraisal. So we have one scheduled tonight, as a matter of fact. So we are continuing to move forward to keeping the community informed. I think I met the mayor at one of them as well.
Was in the Nations?
It was in the Nations. That's exactly right.
So you said 8,300 new parcels between 17 and 21. Is that right?
That's it. That's 8,300 new parcels since the last reappraisal, 17 up to 2021,
right.
And we are on track in those counts of the increase.
Right. And does so if you have a multi-story, multi-family building, and it's condos, is each one of those condos a parcel, or is just the actual building itself a parcel?
The parcel is where the improvement sits, and I'll let Jimmy also.
Each condominium would be a parcel. So you go from one parcel.
If you had
that's a piece
100
of
units
undeveloped
and
land.
condos, that'd be 100 parcels.
So that's how because there's not as much subdivision as there once was. So that's probably how we're adding all the parcels is through condominiums, I'm guessing. Huh?
The T-unit.
Oh, is that right?
That we have more of that than anything else.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And so the process of reappraisal is already underway. Is that
Absolutely.
Right? Never stops, really.
When one completes, we start right on the next one. That's correct.
And you have to be complete by when? When does it have to be complete?
We have to have it completed. Well, the values are provided as of 1/1 of that given year, which is 1/1/21. But it has to be completed by the end of May.
Yeah, our informals will be complete by May of 2020, which is roughly, a year and 2 months away. So that's where we've looked at every parcel in the county, and then we will start an evaluation process.
Which is one of the reasons why we say that our work is not seasonal. Our work is year-round. We only have about 10 days where we have an open moment of celebrating.
And so you were saying that between 1/1/18 and 1/1/19, it went up 2.8%? And that's not based on reappraisal, that's just added value?
Absolutely.
construction,
Absolutely. New construction. Absolutely.
All right. And when do you first get some sort of assessment of what the total increased appraised value would be, a first sort of rough draft of that?
You want to go ahead and answer that question?
Probably another month or so. We should wrap up all of our 1/1 work by the end of April. Okay, so that's what we look at. We have to send notices by May the 20th by statute. Okay, so
To constituents.
So
Property
we would
owners.
have every appraisal change. So all of those numbers would be in by at least mid-May.
Of this year?
Yes, sir, of this year.
And then you get a year from this year to challenge?
No, you get this year to do it.
Yes.
June the 14th will be the deadline to challenge those numbers.
So there'll be a total appraised value that will apply to the 2021 reappraisal by May of this year?
Well, you have the appeals
right?
after that. No, you have first you have your steps. You have to have your informal reviewed, and after that you have to have your formal appeal, and then you also have the opportunity to do the state appeals, and those things have to happen as well. And it becomes final by September 1.
But what we're saying is the assessment roll will grow from 2018 2.8%.
Right.
for just 2019 only.
value,
Now,
new
you'll
construction.
still have the right to appeal.
Okay.
Okay, all right, so,
Okay. So you're not doing the inflation-based reappraisal yet? Nobody,
sir.
you don't have a number on that for
No, sir.
another year?
right.
But then by May of 2020, you sort of have to have that.
That's correct. Yeah, and we will look at the increase, what we're anticipating then.
Yeah. Well, I expect on the commercial stuff, there's likely to be a pretty significant, maybe more so than the residential this go around, it would seem to me, but.
Well, it has been, but the commercial total assessed value has grown closely to the residential assessed values.
Yeah,
It's only about difference about what, $300,000, $500,000?
Yes, ma'am. But the increase it's still going to be an increase.
All right, well, I know we kind of got off the budget there a little bit, but it relates.
It's all critical answers and questions, no doubt.
Times are good in
relevant.
Nashville.
Yes.
Okay, I mean,
Which is why we're hopeful.
All right, well, thank you very much. I appreciate you being here.
thank you.
All right, thank you, thank you all.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.